You know, I've been working within the media for the past 15 years. Performative utterances, propaganda, it's not a conspiracy theory, it's a fact. Politicians, the media are trained in performative utterances. They're trained in words that work and words that don't work. A variant of what Israel government is doing right now is someone said yesterday, it's a variant on the stop hitting yourself, stop smashing yourself in the face. Why are you doing that? You know, it's not us hitting you. Why are you hitting? Naftali Bennett accused Hamas of self-genocide. They're accusing the Palestinians of self-genocide. Apologists for the Israeli government for the terror, the annihilation, the obliteration, the incineration of families. The apologists, they need to be exposed within the media and within politics. The BBC is not a legitimate source. Jonathan Miller, on the other hand, who works for Channel 4, for some reason you trust him because he's not making things up. He's not holding things back. You understand that he's telling you what he's seeing with his own eyes. You know, people are living without rights, without hope, and under a sustained assault. They're being murdered, a massacre, a demolition. The Haaretz, an Israeli newspaper, looked at the effect of the Russian separatists on their actual on what's happening in Gaza. They were saying that like all their children that were dead on the beach was a really low point for Israel's mission. But as soon as the Russian separatists, the newspaper was also saying that the massacre in Syria and the amounts dead kind of minimise what's happening in Gaza. They were saying that Hamas is part of ISIS. They were saying all this is part of our propaganda to win. This is how. Philip Hammond, the Foreign Secretary, he refused to say it was disproportionate with a man walking around with his son's parts in plastic bags, children with no heads, children eviscerated, the murder, the death, the destruction. He refused to say it was disproportionate. The Friends of Israel had complained in 2006 when William Hague said the horrific assault on Lebanon. They complained and they were told never, ever, ever use that word disproportionate again. Self-genocide. Meanwhile, Netanyahu, he said that the guy were telegenetically dead. You're like, what is these words? Why? But you know, there's a lieutenant colonel who Kathy Newman was interviewing yesterday. She said to him, Peter Lerner, who wouldn't shut up, he just kept going and going. She said to him, but you're using flechette ordnance, which has got metal darts. How's that trying to minimise civilian life if you're using ordnance with hundreds of thousands of metal darts? How's that? And he just batted it off. He just kept talking. Benny Gantz, the army chief, he says, I'm overall pleased. He was saying, I'm overall pleased with what I've seen. You're like, you what? You're overall pleased? It's massive. It's desolation. There's no buildings left. People are crammed in. The morgue is filled to overflowing with dead bodies. Got nowhere to go. How can you be overall pleased? This lieutenant, that's Benny Hatch, the Lieutenant Colonel Peter Lerner, he's the one that told Nikki Campbell on Radio 5 Live on Friday that governments, can you listen, think about this? Governments and military from around the world are right now in Israel with the embedded with the Israeli military, watching, he said it, watching how well we do it. You're like, think about that. This is about weapons testing. And the governments from around the world, because they're not going to speak out. They're not going to say anything. They're not going to, this, because they're on their side. They're testing their weapons. America's giving them billions. Britain is selling them arms. They want to see. They're watching these people be incinerated. They're watching children being decapitated. They're watching. The Western world, US, UK, NATO, they're all there. With their fucking popcorn. With their cup of tea. Can you imagine that? Think about that. And meanwhile, the rhetoric, the sounds, the words, because watching how well we do it is talking about the silence of the BBC, the silence of the mainstream media, when there's hundreds of thousands of people around the globe marching for Gaza, marching to stop this massacre. It's pushed. Don't talk about it. People are out on the streets everywhere, from Australia to Denmark to South America to 100,000 in London. Nothing. Shh. And that's part of the propaganda. That's part of what they do. Is there a D notice? Is there a D notice on MPs at the moment where they're not allowed to say anything, not allowed to come out and condemn Israel? Seriously, a reporter wrote, someone who's there, who's in the middle, a reporter, Anne Barnard, a 9-year-old girl, a 9-year-old Palestinian girl, is she watched her die. She watched her die in the ER, in the emergency room. She had no relatives with her. No one knew her name. A 9-year-old girl. Can you imagine that? Why isn't that? Where is the? When it's if it's this is about justice, and this is about when it's who has the right, and this is about how the West fetishizes their own victims, and people of the other is they take away their humanity, and it's done through, there's doctors crying, Israel justifies bombing people in a prison cell by saying move over into the corner. Benjamin Netanyahu, he says, I regret any loss of civilian life. This is Benjamin Netanyahu. I regret any loss of civilian life. Softly spoken, apologising, talking calm. Do you wonder why the questions are so measured? Do you ever think that when it's when they're doing these interviews that it's an assault on your intelligence? There's a global language dictionary, 2009, written for the media, written for Israel, written for America, written. This isn't. They are taught. They learn these things. There's sections on words that work, words that don't work. It's propaganda. It's I regret any loss of civilian life. John Kerry was out and he said, "Hell, this is one hell of a pinpoint operation." It was decimated. The mic was off. It was decimated. This isn't a pinpoint operation. This isn't about Hamas firing rockets. This is a total and utter massacre. This is total disregard for children, for families. The deputy speaker of the Knesset, where David Cameron speak, his unbreakable bond with Israel. They're calling for the removal, for the destruction of Gaza. They want it finished. They don't just want the people. They want the people punished. They want them dead. There's an MP who said to kill all the Gaza mums. Why isn't these stories? Why aren't they the headlines? Why don't they They say because they want to dehumanize the situation. They want to talk about the politics of it. They want to talk about how how they're being affected. They want to talk about it on a global. They don't want to. The people are left dead in the street, crying, holding on to their children, shaking fear. What about the one where last night where I see all the girls sitting, waiting to hear the news about her mum, and the dad was there, and their dad come out and he told the girls, you know, that mum was dead, and the poor guy, he just passed out. He just passed out. He just keeled over. He fainted. You know, they don't regret the loss of any civilian life. The BBC is an apologist, is covering up. You know, the mainstream media, the MPs, the British government, the American government. You know, this needs to be condemned unequivocally. That this Israeli government should be in the fucking Hague. You know, they should be. Not only they don't even condemn it. Do you understand that? And that's the propaganda. That's the stop hitting yourself.